Part 2. The Millionaire CEO was dining with his fiancée when two little girls walked up and said, "You're our dad," and another woman who was still deciding whether love should cost this much. In Part 1, the surprise was his return. In Part 2, the truth is harder. Raina doesn't need saving, Janae doesn't need reassurance, and the girls don't need speeches. They need proof that this version of him doesn't disappear when things become inconvenient. Because this time, effort won't be enough. Good intentions won't be enough. Even love won't be enough on its own. Uriel will learn that coming back doesn't place him at the center of the story. It places him at the edge of lives that already learned how to continue without him. Raina will make a choice no one expects, not out of bitterness but clarity. Janae will decide what patience is worth when it begins to cost her sense of self. And the girls will ask questions that don't come with safe answers. If you believe second chances should still be earned, not assumed, this story is for you. Subscribe to Mr. Williams' Storytime. Uriel learned quickly that coming back didn't make him central. At the school office, the secretary slid a clipboard toward him without looking up. "Name?" she asked. "Uriel Hector. I'm Carmela and Phoebe's father." The pen paused. "Oh," she said, then continued writing. "We already have a primary contact on file. Raina's name. Every form still belonged to her. Every emergency plan. Every teacher note. He was added in margins, checked boxes, footnotes to a system that had survived without him." At pickup, Carmela waved when she saw him. Not the wild wave from before, but something smaller, cautious. Phoebe stayed close to her teacher until the last second, eyes flicking between faces. "You're here early," Carmela said. "I wanted to be," Uriel replied. She nodded, accepting the answer without celebration. In the car, Phoebe buckled herself in and asked, "Is Mom coming too?" "No," he said gently. "Just us today." She processed that quietly, then looked out the window. At home, the penthouse still smelled like new paint and order. Carmela wandered through it like a guest, touching nothing. Phoebe sat at the table and lined her pencils perfectly straight. "You can put your bags anywhere," Uriel said. Carmela shrugged. "We'll only be here a little while, right?" The question landed softly. Uriel hesitated just long enough for her to notice. "I hope not," he said. She didn't answer. That night, when Raina arrived to pick them up, she didn't come inside. She stood at the door, keys in hand. "They have homework," she said. "Carmela needs help with math." "I can help," Uriel offered. Raina met his eyes, not unkind, just honest. They're not used to asking you yet. The girls hugged him goodbye, polite, brief, careful. After the door closed, Uriel stood alone in a space that no longer felt empty, but still didn't feel claimed. Coming back hadn't made him a father. It had made him an addition. Uriel started doing everything right. He learned the girls' schedules down to the minute. He memorized which days were library days, which mornings required signed slips, which afternoons meant dance shoes instead of sneakers. He showed up early. He stayed late. He didn't complain. At first, no one noticed. At a parent meeting, he sat beside Raina while teachers spoke directly to her. "Carmela has been doing well," one said. "Her mother has been very involved." Raina nodded. Uriel waited. No one looked his way. Afterward, in the hallway, he cleared his throat. "If there's anything I should be doing differently, you can start by not interrupting routines that already work," the teacher replied, polite but firm. In the car, Carmela stared at her hands. "You didn't have to come," she said. "I wanted to," he replied. She nodded slowly. "Mom always comes." At home, he tried helping with homework. Carmela accepted assistance but double-checked answers with her mother later. Phoebe watched from across the table, saying nothing. One evening, Phoebe finally spoke. "You don't know our rules." "I'm learning," Uriel said. She tilted her head. "Mom already knows them." Raina didn't correct her. "I feel like I'm late to a life that doesn't need me," he admitted. Janae listened. "Showing up doesn't mean taking over," she said. "It means standing where you're allowed and staying anyway." The next morning, Uriel packed lunches exactly the way Raina wrote out for him. No substitutions, no improvements. Carmela noticed. "You did it Mom's way," she said. She considered that, then smiled, small but real. Resistance didn't look like anger. It looked like caution. And Uriel was learning that patience wasn't something you asked for. It was something you survived. The first real argument happened over something small. Uriel offered to take the girls for the weekend. "I cleared my schedule," he said. "Just us." Raina didn't answer right away. She wiped the counter, even though it was already clean. "That's a lot," she said finally. It's 2 days. It's 2 days they've never had with you," she replied. Carmela sat on the couch pretending to read. Phoebe lined up her shoes by the door. Raina met his eyes. "You are to their routines." "I'm trying," he said. "I know," she replied. "That doesn't make it easy." Carmela spoke without looking up. "Can Mom come too?" Uriel felt the question before he heard it. I thought maybe just me, he said. Phoebe shook her head. That's not how weekends work. How do they work? He asked. With Mom, she said simply. Later outside, Janae listened as he told her what happened. They don't trust me, he said. They don't know you yet, she replied. What if they never do? The weekend plan changed, short visits, public places, no sleepovers. That night, alone, he stared at his phone, tempted to fill the silence with work. He sat with the discomfort instead. For the first time, effort wasn't earning approval. And for the first time, he didn't walk away. The call came from the school nurse just after noon. Carmela had fallen during recess. Nothing serious. A scraped knee, some tears. Raina was in a meeting she couldn't leave. Uriel arrived in 10 minutes. He signed in, sat beside Carmela on the small vinyl chair, and handed her the tissue the nurse offered. Carmela leaned into him instinctively, her fingers curling into his sleeve. You came fast, she said. I always will, he replied. When Raina arrived 20 minutes later, Carmela let go. Not abruptly, just enough. I'm okay now, she told her mother. Raina thanked Uriel, then turned to the nurse to finish paperwork. Carmela followed her with her eyes. You can stay, Uriel said gently. Carmela shook her head. Mom's here. The words weren't unkind. They were final. That evening, Uriel told Janae what happened. She didn't choose me, he said. Janae nodded. She chose what's familiar. I was right there. Yes, Janae said. And so was the memory of who wasn't. Because she went to Mom. He smiled. That makes sense. Phoebe studied him. You didn't leave. She nodded, filing the moment away like evidence. After they left, Raina lingered by the door. You handled that well, she said. I didn't know how, he admitted. That's honesty, she replied. They noticed that, for the first time, Uriel understood something important. Being chosen wasn't the reward. Being available was the work. And sometimes, the work happened in moments where no one reached for you at all. The cost didn't arrive loudly. It showed up in what Uriel stopped doing. He stopped staying late at the office, stopped answering emails during dinner, stopped using work as a place to disappear when things felt uncertain. And that's when it started, costing him. An investor questioned his availability. A board member asked whether personal matters were becoming a distraction. For the first time in his career, Uriel didn't defend himself with numbers or outcomes. He said, I'll still deliver. They weren't satisfied. At home, Janae noticed the shift before he mentioned it. You're giving things up, she said. I am, he replied. She watched him carefully. Are you resenting it? He thought about it, about Carmela choosing her mother, about Phoebe watching silently, about showing up without being needed. No, he said. I'm afraid of what happens if I don't. That night, Carmela asked a question that caught him off guard. Are you coming tomorrow too? Yes. And the day after? Yes. She considered that. Okay. Phoebe didn't speak, but she sat closer to him than before. Later, Raina pulled him aside. They're starting to notice patterns, she said. That's dangerous territory. For me? He asked. For you, she confirmed. Because once they notice, leaving hurts more. Uriel nodded. He already knew. This wasn't about proving himself. It was about choosing a version of his life that couldn't be paused when things became inconvenient. And as Act 1 closed, one truth settled in fully. Coming back had a price. Staying was where the bill arrived. Raina didn't plan the conversation. It happened on a Tuesday evening, ordinary enough to lower everyone's guard. The girls were in the next room, arguing quietly over a board game that had lost half its pieces. Uriel stood near the counter while Raina poured tea she barely touched. You're staying, she said, not looking at him. She nodded. That's new. He waited. I need to say something, she continued, and I don't want you to interrupt. He raised his hands slightly. I won't. She finally met his eyes. I didn't come back because I thought you'd fix anything, she said. I didn't come back because I was running out of strength. I came back because I was running out of margin. Uriel frowned. Margin? The space to be everything, she said. Doctor visits, work, school, nights where I sit awake listening to breathing just to make sure everything's okay. He stiffened. Are the girls? They're fine, Raina said quickly. This isn't about them. She exhaled, slow and measured. I have a condition, she said. It's not new. It's not dramatic. It's just persistent. It doesn't end me. It limits me. Uriel leaned forward. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want help that came from panic, she replied. Or guilt. Silence stretched between them. Uriel swallowed. You should have told me. She shook her head. You weren't ready to hear it yet. In the other room, Carmela laughed loudly. Phoebe shushed her. Raina glanced toward the sound, then back at him. I need you here, she said. Not as a hero, not as a replacement. As someone who stays even when there's nothing to fix. Uriel nodded once. I can do that. Raina studied him carefully. We'll see, she said. Raina didn't raise her voice when she set the rules. That's what made them stick. I'm not handing them over, she said, folding a dish towel with care. And I'm not stepping aside so you can catch up faster. Uriel nodded. I'm not asking you to. Good, she replied, because this isn't about fairness. It's about stability. She leaned against the counter, arms crossed, not defensive, deliberate. You don't get to make up for 10 years in a season, she continued, and you don't get access just because you're trying. I know, he said. Raina tilted her head slightly. Do you? He hesitated. I think I'm learning. That's acceptable, she said. Certainty would worry me. From the living room, Phoebe called out, Mom, Carmela's cheating. Carmela protested loudly. Raina didn't move. You hear that? She asked Uriel. That's normal. That's what we protect. She faced him fully now. You show up when agreed, she said. You don't improvise. You don't surprise them. You don't promise things you haven't cleared with me. Uriel nodded again, and when I say no, she added, you don't treat it like a negotiation. He swallowed. Even if I disagree, especially then, a pause. You're not the center of this, Raina said. Neither am I. They are. Uriel looked toward the living room, where the argument had turned into laughter. Raina studied him for a long moment, then softened just enough to matter. This isn't punishment, she said. It's protection. Okay, he said. I'll follow your lead. Raina nodded once. Good, she said, because leading alone is something I'm done doing. Janae didn't interrupt when Uriel told her. She sat on the edge of the couch, one leg tucked beneath her, listening without reaching for conclusions. When he finished, the room stayed quiet long enough for the truth to settle between them. So, she said finally, she's not asking you to rescue anyone. No, Uriel replied. She's asking me to stay within limits. Janae nodded. That's harder. He smiled faintly. You noticed. She leaned back, studying ceiling. I need to be honest with you. I'd be disappointed if you weren't. This changes how I see everything, she said. Not because of her condition, because of what it asks of you. Uriel waited. You can't be the man who steps in and takes charge, Janae continued. You have to be the man who accepts being secondary sometimes. That doesn't bother me, he said quickly. Janae looked at him. Slow down. I didn't say it bothers you. I said it costs you. I need to know something, she added. Not what you feel. What you're choosing. I'm choosing them, he said. All of them. Janae's expression softened but didn't give in. That answer sounds good, she said. But it's vague. He frowned. What would be specific? She met his eyes. When Raina says no and the girls accept it and you feel pushed to the edge, who do you become? Uriel considered that. I stay, he said. Janae nodded slowly. That's the first honest thing you've said tonight. She stood and walked to the window. The city stretched out below them. I don't need you to fix this, she said. I need you not to run when fixing isn't an option. Uriel joined her. I won't, she turned to him. You don't get credit for saying that yet. I know. A pause. I'm still here, Janae said. But I'm watching. He nodded. Fair, she exhaled, something between relief and resolve. Good, she said. Because if you disappear, now there won't be a second return. Carmela tested him first. It happened on a Saturday afternoon. Ordinary enough to feel safe. They were supposed to meet at the park for an hour. Raina had been clear about the time. Uriel arrived early. Carmela arrived late. She didn't run toward him this time. She walked, slow, deliberate, eyes searching his face as if looking for cracks. You waited, she said. Yes, you could have left. I didn't want to. She nodded, filing the answer away. At the swings, Carmela pushed herself higher than usual, stretching the chains until they rattled. Uriel stood nearby, hands ready but not hovering. Mom says you're learning, she said suddenly. I am. She kicked forward harder. Are you going to stop? He didn't answer right away. No, he said finally. Not because I'm perfect, because leaving doesn't make things easier anymore. Carmela slowed, considering. Later, Phoebe took her turn. They sat on a bench, her feet dangling above the ground. If Mom says no, she asked, do you get mad? She frowned. Even if you want to say yes? Phoebe nodded. Okay, that was it. No follow-up. No reassurance. Raina noticed. In the car afterward, Carmela stared out the window. He didn't get mad, she said quietly. No, Raina replied. He didn't. Carmela rested her head against the seat. That's new. That night, Uriel replayed every word, every pause. He realized something then. The girls weren't asking if he loved them. They were asking who he became when he didn't get what he wanted. Raina didn't announce the decision, She mentioned it the way people do when they've already sat with something long enough to stop needing permission. I'm going back to school, she said, stirring her coffee though she wasn't drinking it. Part-time. Online. Uriel looked up. When did you decide that? When I realized I didn't want my life to pause forever, she replied. The girls were coloring at the table. Carmela glanced up briefly, then went back to her drawing. Phoebe leaned closer to listen. It means things will change, Raina continued. Schedules, expectations. Uriel nodded. I can adjust mine. Raina met his eyes. I wasn't asking. That landed. I'm not building my future around what you can do now, she said calmly. I'm building it around what I've already learned to survive. Uriel absorbed that without protest. This doesn't mean I don't value you being here, she added. It means I won't shrink my life to make your return feel smoother. Carmela spoke without looking up. Is that good? Raina smiled. Yes, it's good. Phoebe looked at Uriel. Are you staying anyway? Yes, he said. She nodded once, satisfied. Later, when the girls went to wash their hands, Raina turned back to him. I didn't come back because I was failing, she said. I came back because I was ready to stop doing everything alone. He nodded. I understand. No, she replied gently. You're starting to… That night, Uriel told Janae. She's choosing herself, he said. Janae smiled. Good. That means no one here is waiting to be saved. Uriel leaned back, the weight of the day settling in. For the first time, he understood something clearly. This wasn't a story about redemption being granted. It was a story about people refusing to disappear, even for love. The question came from Phoebe. They were in the car, traffic slow enough to stretch the silence. Carmela stared out the window, counting red lights. Phoebe watched Uriel's hands on the steering wheel. Can we choose? She asked. Uriel glanced at her in the mirror. Choose what? She shrugged. How much? Carmela turned. How much what? How much dad? Phoebe replied. The words sat there, calm and precise. Uriel pulled into a parking lot and turned off the engine. He didn't trust himself to answer while moving. What do you mean? He asked. Phoebe swung her legs. Like school stuff, park stuff, sleeping over stuff. Carmela crossed her arms. Mom says we don't have to decide right now. Phoebe nodded. But we want to. Uriel looked at both of them. You don't owe me anything, he said. Carmela tilted her head. We know. That was worse, Phoebe continued. We just want it to feel normal. What feels normal? He asked. Carmela thought for a moment. Not guessing, Phoebe added, and not hurting Mom. Uriel exhaled slowly. You won't leave? No. Phoebe studied his face carefully, then nodded. Okay, she said. Then we'll start small. Carmela smiled. Pizza night. Uriel smiled back. Pizza night. As he started the car again, he felt the weight of it settle in. They weren't asking for love. They were asking for control over how it entered their lives. And this time, he wasn't the one deciding the pace. Pizza night went well, too well. Carmela laughed louder than usual. She told stories from school and corrected Uriel when he got details wrong. Phoebe sat closer than she had before, leaning into his side while they watched a movie she pretended not to care about. At the end of the night, Carmela asked, Can we do this again tomorrow? Uriel smiled. If your mom says yes. Phoebe nodded. She will. But the next day, the answers didn't match. Carmela wanted to come again. Phoebe didn't. She stood by the door, backpack already on, eyes fixed on the floor. Carmela frowned. We were going to play that game again. Phoebe shook her head. Not today. Uriel knelt in front of her. That's okay. Carmela crossed her arms. You said we could choose. That didn't make it easier. Raina watched from the kitchen, silent, giving no direction. Carmela looked at Phoebe. Did I do something? Phoebe hesitated. No, then why? I just want Mom today, Phoebe said quietly. Carmela's face fell. Uriel felt the pull. The instinct to fix, to balance, to smooth the edges. He didn't. Carmela's voice tightened. It doesn't feel okay. Phoebe looked up at him. You're not mad? No, he said. Even if I leave. Phoebe nodded once, relief softening her shoulders. She hugged him quickly, then walked out with Raina. Carmela stayed. But the air shifted. She didn't talk much after that. When it was time to leave, she hugged him longer than usual, her face pressed into his shirt. Next time, she said. Yes, he replied. After they were gone, Janae sat beside him. That hurt you, she said. Yes. And you didn't chase it? No. She nodded. That's how they learn you are safe. Uriel stared at the door long after it closed. For the first time, he understood that doing this right meant accepting loss in small pieces, without demanding they add up to something fair. Carmela asked in the car, not casually, not shyly, Can I stay the night next time? The question sat between them, heavier than it sounded. Uriel didn't answer right away. He glanced at her in the mirror. She was watching him closely, already bracing for something. "That's a big step," he said carefully. "I know," she replied. "But I wanna—" Phoebe looked up from her book. "You said we could choose." "We can," Uriel said. "But choosing doesn't mean rushing." Carmela's jaw tightened. "Mom would let me—" Uriel parked and turned toward her fully. "Maybe," he said, "but I won't yet." Her eyes widened. "Why not?" "Because wanting something doesn't mean it's time," he replied. "And because saying yes too fast can make things harder later." Carmela crossed her arms. "So you don't trust me?" "That's not it," he said. "Then what is it?" He held her gaze. "I don't trust the situation yet, and that's my job." Silence fell. Phoebe shifted uncomfortably. "I waited a long time to meet you," Carmela said, her voice tight. "And now you're the one saying no." Uriel nodded slowly. "I know." She stared out the window. "That's not fair." "No," he agreed. "It isn't." He didn't add anything else. At home, Carmela didn't hug him goodbye. She said thank you out of habit and walked inside without looking back. That night, Janae found him on the balcony. "She's angry," Uriel said. "Did I do the wrong thing?" Janae thought for a moment. "You did the steady thing," he exhaled. "That doesn't feel good." "It rarely does," she said. "But it lasts longer." Uriel looked back toward the door, knowing Carmela was inside with feelings he couldn't fix. For the first time, being careful cost him affection. And he stayed anyway. Phoebe didn't mention the sleepover again. That's what made everyone nervous. She stayed quieter than usual during visits, choosing books over games, corners over couches. When Carmela pushed for longer plans, Phoebe didn't argue. She stepped back. One afternoon, while Carmela was inside grabbing her backpack, Phoebe stayed behind on the sidewalk with Uriel. "I changed my mind," she said. "About what?" She kicked a pebble toward the curb. "Staying." She looked up, surprised. "That's it?" Phoebe studied him, then nodded slowly. "I want to try first." "Try what?" "Sleeping over," she said. "Just me." Uriel paused. He didn't answer right away. Phoebe noticed. "You can say no." "I know," he replied. She waited. "Yes," he said finally. "If your mom agrees." She smiled. Not wide, not excited. Relieved. When Carmela returned, Phoebe said it casually, like it wasn't a big deal. Carmela stopped short. "You are?" Phoebe nodded. "Just me." "That's not fair," Carmela said. Phoebe shrugged. "You didn't want to wait." Carmela's mouth opened, then closed. Raina, watching from the doorway, met Uriel's eyes and nodded once. That night, Janae watched Phoebe settle into the guest room with quiet efficiency. "She is brave," Janae said softly. "She's careful," Uriel replied. Phoebe stood in the doorway afterward. "You won't leave while I'm asleep, right?" He met her gaze. "No," she nodded. "Okay." The next morning, Phoebe woke early and sat at the table eating cereal while Uriel made coffee. "You stayed," she said. She smiled faintly. "Good." When Carmela heard about it later, she didn't yell. She just went quiet. And that silence carried more weight than anger ever could. Carmela didn't bring it up right away. She waited until everyone else was distracted, until Phoebe was brushing her teeth, until Raina was sorting papers at the counter, until the house felt quiet enough to hold the truth without breaking. She stood in the doorway of the living room where Uriel sat, phone face down in his hand. "Why does she get to go first?" Carmela asked. Uriel looked up. "Because she was ready." Carmela crossed her arms. "I was ready too." He considered that. "You were ready for the idea. She was ready for the reality." Carmela frowned. "What's the difference?" He didn't rush. "The idea is exciting," he said. "The reality means trusting that I'll still be here in the morning." Carmela's jaw tightened. "I trust you." He nodded. "I know you want to." She stared at the floor. "You don't believe me." "That's not it," he said gently. "I believe you're still deciding." Silence stretched. "When you said no," Carmela continued, voice quiet, "it felt like you were leaving again." "Thank you for telling me," he said. "That's all?" She snapped. "Yes," he replied, "because this isn't something I get to argue." She looked up at him, eyes wet but steady. "I don't want you to disappear," she said. "I won't," he answered. She studied his face, searching for cracks. No hug, no forgiveness, no closure. But when Raina called for them to leave, Carmela hesitated, then turned back. Uriel nodded. "I'll be here." As the door closed behind them, Janae stepped beside him. "She's choosing carefully," Janae said. He nodded. "So am I." And for the first time, Carmela wasn't testing whether he would stay. She was testing whether staying was safe. Janae didn't announce the change. Uriel noticed it in the pauses, the way she no longer filled silence with reassurance, the way she listened without leaning in, the way she stopped checking her phone when he was late, not out of anger but habit. They sat across from each other at dinner, the table between them cleared except for plates they barely touched. "You're tired," she said. "Yes, not from work." He met her eyes. "No." She nodded, accepting the honesty without softening it. "I've been thinking," Janae said. "And I want to be clear." Uriel stayed quiet. "I didn't fall in love with a project," she continued, "and I'm not interested in becoming collateral while you learn how to stay." That landed. "I'm staying," he said. "I know," she replied. "That's not what I'm talking about." She folded her hands on the table. "I'm talking about what it costs me to stand beside you while you're being tested by everyone else." Uriel frowned. "I never asked you to." "You didn't have to," she said gently. "That's how love works, until it doesn't." Silence stretched. "I won't compete with your children," Janae said. "And I won't resent the time you give them, but I won't disappear into patience either." He exhaled slowly. "What are you saying?" She met his eyes, steady and calm. "I'm saying I'm choosing myself too," she said. "And I need to know whether you're capable of choosing me without asking me to wait indefinitely." Uriel didn't answer right away. Not because he didn't care, because this was the first time staying with her meant risking something else. Janae stood and gathered the plates. "I'm not leaving," she added over her shoulder, "but I'm not standing still anymore." She walked into the kitchen, leaving Uriel alone with the quiet realization that love, when it matures, stops begging. Janae didn't frame it as an ultimatum. She framed it as a reality. They were walking along the lake, the path familiar enough that neither had to look where they were going. That made it harder to avoid the conversation. "I won't be engaged like this," she said. Uriel slowed. "Like what?" "Like someone waiting to see who you become," she replied. "I've done that before. It costs more than people realize." He stopped walking. She didn't. "If we stay together," Janae continued, "it won't be because I outlasted the chaos. It'll be because you made room for me inside it." Uriel caught up to her. "I am making room." She shook her head. "You're fitting me in." That difference landed. "I'm not asking you to choose between me and your children," she said. "I'm asking you to stop assuming I'll always be the flexible one." He opened his mouth, then closed it. "I won't plan a wedding while your life is still provisional," Janae added. "And I won't build a future around promises you're still testing." "What does that mean?" he asked. She stopped walking, then turned to face him fully. "It means we slow this down," she said. "Not because I'm unsure, because I am." He frowned. "That sounds backward." "It's not," she replied. "Uncertainty isn't fear. It's honesty." Uriel searched her face. "And if I can't give you what you're asking?" Janae didn't flinch. "Then we don't pretend love is enough." The water moved quietly behind them. "This isn't punishment," she said. "It's preservation." "For you?" he asked. "For me," she replied. "And for us, if there's going to be an us that lasts." She reached for his hand, not to reassure him, but to steady herself. "I need consistency that includes me," she said. "Not later. Now." Uriel nodded slowly. For the first time, staying didn't feel heroic. It felt specific, and specificity was harder to perform. The opportunity came disguised as praise. Uriel's board scheduled an emergency meeting, a potential expansion, a short window, the kind of moment his old self would have taken without blinking. He took the call in the hallway while Janae finished dinner. It would require travel, the voice said. A few weeks, nothing permanent. Uriel glanced toward the kitchen. Janae's back was turned. She was humming softly, unaware. "I can make it work," he heard himself say. When he hung up, the apartment felt too quiet. At the table, Janae noticed his pause. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Nothing," he said too quickly. She didn't press. Her reaction was calm. "We'll adjust." That should have reassured him. It didn't. He told the girls next. "Just for a little while," he said. Phoebe didn't react. Carmela nodded once. The word hit harder than anger. That night, Janae sat beside him on the couch. "You didn't tell me everything," she said. Uriel didn't argue. "You're hesitating," she continued. "And I need you to understand something." He waited. "Hesitation is a choice," Janae said. "It just pretends not to be." He exhaled. "I thought I could do both." "Maybe you can," she replied. "But right now you're asking everyone else to hold still while you decide." Silence filled the space. "I'm not asking you to give up your life," Janae said. "I'm asking you to stop delaying it." Uriel leaned back, the weight of the moment pressing in. For the first time since he came back, staying wasn't about showing up. It was about what he was willing to say no to, and he hadn't answered yet. Janae didn't pack in a hurry. That's what unsettled Uriel the most. She folded clothes carefully, choosing what to take and what to leave, as if she were sorting a life rather than reacting to one. The apartment stayed quiet except for the soft sound of drawers opening and closing. "You don't have to do this tonight," Uriel said. Janae didn't look up. "I'm not doing this to punish you. I didn't mean—" "I know," she said gently. "That's the problem." She placed a sweater into the suitcase and zipped it halfway, leaving room. "I told you I wasn't standing still anymore," she continued. "And tonight you stood still again." She finally turned to face him. "You didn't choose," Janae replied. "You postponed." He opened his mouth to explain. She raised a hand. "I'm not angry," she said, "and I'm not walking away from love. I'm walking away from waiting for someone to finish becoming available." Uriel felt something tighten in his chest. "Is this permanent?" Janae shook her head. "I don't know." She closed the suitcase and stood upright. "I need to live in a space where I'm not bracing for the next pause," she said. "Where love doesn't feel like an appointment that keeps getting rescheduled." He nodded slowly. "What do you need from me?" She considered the question. "Nothing," she said. "Right now, I need you not to follow me." That landed harder than any argument could have. At the door, Janae hesitated. Not long enough to weaken. Just long enough to be human. "I still love you," she said. "But love isn't the same as staying." The door closed behind her with a sound that didn't echo. Uriel stood in the quiet, realizing that for the first time since he returned, someone had left because he hadn't chosen fast enough. And this time, showing up late wouldn't reopen the door. The apartment felt larger after Janae left, not emptier, louder in its stillness. Every room held the outline of her habits, a mug she always used, a blanket folded the way she liked it, the faint scent of her shampoo that hadn't learned yet that she was gone. Uriel didn't move them. He sat on the couch long enough for the city outside to change its rhythm, lights turning on in buildings he used to admire for their height. His phone buzzed. A message from Raina. "The girls are asleep. Phoebe asked if you're okay." He stared at the screen, then typed back, "Tell her I'm here." A moment later, she said, "He always says that." Uriel closed his eyes. The next day he went to work and found no comfort in routine. Meetings blurred. Conversations felt distant. When the board brought up the travel plan again, he asked for time. They didn't like that. At pickup, Carmela ran toward him, then slowed. She studied his face. "Did Janae leave?" He nodded. "Yes." Carmela was quiet for a moment. "Is it because of us?" "No," he said immediately. "It's because I didn't listen fast enough." She nodded, accepting the answer without questioning it. Phoebe slipped her hand into his as they walked. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. That night, after the girls left, Raina lingered at the door. "She warned you," Raina said. "Yes, and you still paused." "Yes." Raina didn't judge him for it. That was worse. "You're learning," she said. "Just understand that learning has a cost." "I know. Even now, especially now." Raina nodded. "Good." When she left, Uriel stood alone again. For the first time since the girls walked into his life, there was no one cushioning the consequences of his delay. No applause, no reassurance, no one waiting. Only the truth he'd been circling since the beginning. Showing up late doesn't make you a villain, but it doesn't protect you from loss either. Uriel stopped explaining himself. There was no one left who needed convincing. Janae was gone. The board was impatient. Raina was steady but no longer shielding him. The girls were present but careful, watching more than asking. For the first time in his life, effort didn't come with feedback. He picked the girls up on time. He followed routines exactly as agreed. He listened more than he spoke, and no one praised him for it. At the park, other parents talked around him, not to him. Teachers acknowledged his presence with nods that didn't invite conversation. Even Raina had settled into something quieter, trust without celebration. Uriel reached her first. She looked up at him, eyes wet, searching. He didn't rush her to her feet. "You're okay," he said. "Take your time." She sat there for a moment, breathing through it. Then she stood on her own. "You didn't panic," she said. "I didn't need to," he replied. She nodded as if noting something important. Later that night, alone in the apartment, Uriel cooked dinner for one and ate it standing up. He didn't turn on the television. He didn't open his laptop. He sat with the quiet. This was the version of growth no one applauded. No dramatic reunions, no speeches, no guarantees. Just the choice to remain present when absence would have been easier. And for the first time, Uriel understood something clearly. Staying wasn't something you proved once. It was something you did again tomorrow, even when today gave you nothing back. The girls didn't tell Uriel they were watching. They just changed how they behaved. Carmela stopped reminding him of plans. She didn't ask if he was coming. She assumed it and waited to see if assumption would be disappointed. Phoebe stopped asking questions altogether. That worried him more. One afternoon, as they walked home from school, Phoebe lagged behind. Uriel slowed without looking back. He didn't call her name. He didn't rush her. She caught up on her own. "You didn't leave," she said. "I won't," he replied. She nodded, like someone adding another mark to a list only she could see. At dinner, Carmela talked about a project due the following week. She didn't ask for help. She explained it instead. Uriel listened. "You're going to forget," she said casually. "I won't," he replied. She didn't challenge him. The next week, when he showed up early with the supplies she needed, Carmela paused in the doorway. "You remembered," she said. She hesitated, then smiled. Not the wide grin from before, but something quieter. That night, Raina watched them from the kitchen. "They're adjusting," she said. "To what?" Uriel asked. "To consistency," Raina replied. "It takes time for kids to trust something that doesn't announce itself." Later, as Phoebe brushed her teeth, she called out, "Are you coming back tomorrow?" "Yes. And the day after?" She rinsed and said nothing else. Uriel stood in the hallway long after they were asleep, understanding something he hadn't before. They weren't asking him to prove love. They were checking whether it repeated itself without needing to be asked. Raina called just after dawn. Uriel answered on the second ring. "I need you today," she said. No explanation, no panic, just truth. "I'm on my way," he replied. At the hospital, the air felt thinner. Raina sat upright on the bed, pale but alert, a folder of papers resting in her lap like something she'd already prepared herself to hand over. "It's not an emergency," she said before he could ask. "But it's not nothing either. They're adjusting my treatment," Raina continued, "which means I won't be able to do pickups for a while." "I can," Uriel said. "I know," she replied. "That's why I called." Carmela sat in the corner chair, knees pulled up, pretending to read. Phoebe stood close to the bed, fingers wrapped around the railing. "When are you coming home?" Phoebe asked. "Soon," Raina said. "Just not today." Carmela looked at Uriel. "Are you staying?" "Yes," he said, no hesitation. "I understand," he replied. She studied his face, searching for cracks she'd learned to expect in people who promised too quickly. "Okay," she said. "Then we do this clean." The girls didn't cry. Phoebe packed her bag methodically. Carmela lingered by the window, watching nurses pass. In the car, silence filled the space where questions could have been. "You didn't cancel," Carmela said finally. "No." "You didn't call anyone else?" "No." Phoebe looked up from her seat. "So you're it?" Uriel nodded. "For now." "Yes." She leaned back, absorbing. "No," Uriel replied. "It's not." She nodded once. For the first time, responsibility hadn't arrived with applause or permission. It had arrived because there was no one else left to hold it. The apartment felt different with the girls there overnight. Not louder, not messier, more intentional. Carmela chose where her bag went. Phoebe picked her side of the couch. Neither asked permission. Uriel noticed and didn't correct it. At breakfast, Carmela reached for the cereal without looking at him. Phoebe poured her own milk carefully, stopping before it spilled. "We leave at 7:40, Carmela said. "Mom likes us early." "I'll set the alarm," Uriel replied. She nodded, satisfied. On the walk to school, Phoebe slipped her hand into his again. Not searching, not checking, just holding. "You're doing it right, she said. "What's right?" he asked. She shrugged. "You're not acting like this is temporary." Carmela glanced back. "Don't mess it up." He smiled. "I'll try not to." At pickup, Carmela ran ahead to tell her friends something he couldn't hear. Phoebe stayed beside him, quiet. "She trusts you," Phoebe said. "Who?" "Carmela," she replied. "She just won't say it yet." That night, after homework and showers, Carmela sat on the couch beside him. "If Mom stays longer," she said, "you're still coming, right?" "Yes." "And if she gets better?" "Yes." She leaned back, satisfied. Phoebe stood in the doorway, watching. "You didn't disappear," she said. "No." She nodded once. "Good." Later, when the lights were out and the apartment finally rested, Uriel sat alone for a moment. He hadn't been invited into their lives. They had moved in and expected him to stay. And for the first time, that expectation didn't scare him. It steadied him. The board called again. This time, they didn't dance around it. "We need an answer," one voice said. "If you're not available, we'll move forward without you." Uriel stood by the kitchen counter, watching Phoebe color at the table while Carmela worked through math problems she pretended not to need help with. "When?" he asked. "Now," the voice replied. He muted the call and turned toward the girls. "Hey," he said. "I need to step outside for a minute." Carmela looked up. "You're not leaving, right?" "No," he said. "Just stepping out." Phoebe didn't look up. "Okay." On the balcony, the city stretched out in front of him, the same view he used to believe meant something. The phone buzzed in his hand. "We can't wait," the board said when he unmuted. This is how you built everything you have. Uriel thought about the mornings he no longer rushed, about cereal bowls left in the sink, about backpacks by the door. I'm stepping back, he said. Silence. From the project, he clarified. Not the company. But I won't be traveling. That's a mistake, the voice replied. Maybe, Uriel said. But it's mine. He ended the call before they could respond. Inside, Carmela watched him closely. Did you pick us? She asked. He shook his head. I picked staying. She nodded, like the answer fit better than she expected. Phoebe slid her drawing across the table. I made it blue because you like blue, he smiled. I do. That night, after the girls were asleep, Raina called. They told me, she said. Told you what? That you didn't leave. He leaned back against the couch. I wasn't planning to. There was a pause. Thank you, Raina said. For what? For not making this harder than it already is. After the call ended, Uriel sat alone in the quiet. He hadn't chosen between people. He'd chosen a direction. And for the first time, the direction didn't lead away from anyone. The cost didn't come all at once. It arrived in small, reasonable pieces. Uriel lost influence before he lost position. Meetings he used to lead were reassigned. Decisions he once made unilaterally now required approval. No one said it was because he stepped back. They didn't have to. At school pickup, Carmela noticed. You don't wear the suit anymore, she said. I still have it, he replied. But you don't wear it. He smiled faintly. I don't need it every day. She nodded, considering that. Phoebe noticed something else. You don't rush anymore, she said one morning as he poured cereal. Raina stayed in the hospital longer than expected. Updates came slowly, carefully worded. Uriel handled school forms, meals, bedtime. Not dramatically, not expertly, just steadily. One evening, Carmela sat at the table long after homework was done. If Mom gets better, she asked, do things go back? Uriel didn't answer immediately. No, he said. Things move forward, just differently. She nodded. Okay. That night, alone in the kitchen, Uriel stared at the calendar. There were fewer meetings now, more blank spaces. The old version of him would have filled them with something impressive. This version left them open, because for the first time, space wasn't a problem to solve. Janae didn't come back with questions. She came back with a box. Uriel opened the door and saw it in her hands before he saw her face. Books, a framed photo, the sweater she always forgot she left behind. I'm not here to talk, she said. Just to pick these up. That's fine, he replied. She stepped inside. The apartment looked different now. Shoes by the door, drawings on the fridge, a schedule taped to the wall. Janae noticed everything. You're staying, she said. Yes. With them, yes. She nodded once, not approving, not impressed. I heard about Raina, she said. I hope she's okay. She is, just slower days. She smiled faintly. That figures. They stood in the quiet. No tension, no reaching. You didn't call, she said. I didn't think it was my place. That was the right call, she replied. She picked up the box. I'm glad you didn't disappear, Janae said. For them. He nodded. I needed to stay. She looked at him then, really looked. You look different, she said. So do you. She shifted the box in her arms. I'm not here to reopen anything. I know. I just needed to see if what I heard was true. And? He asked. She paused. It is. She moved toward the door, then stopped. This doesn't fix us, she said. But it matters. He nodded. I understand. She left without turning back. Uriel closed the door gently, not chasing the moment, not trying to extend it. For the first time, he understood that some returns weren't about reclaiming what was lost. They were about witnessing who someone had become. The girls noticed Janae's absence before Uriel said anything. They always did. Carmela stared at the door longer than usual after school. She didn't come back, she said. No, Uriel replied. Phoebe set her backpack down carefully. Is she gone like before? He considered the question. She's living her life, he said. Just not here. Phoebe nodded. Okay, that was it. No follow-ups, no bargaining, no blame. At dinner, Carmela talked about a group project and who wasn't pulling their weight. Phoebe corrected her math homework without asking for help. Later, as they brushed their teeth, Carmela spoke quietly. She didn't choose us, she said. Uriel leaned against the doorframe. She didn't leave because of you. Carmela met his eyes. I know. That surprised him. She left because she needed something, Carmela continued, like Mom did when she went to the hospital. Uriel nodded. Yes. Phoebe rinsed her mouth and looked up. You didn't leave when she did, and you didn't leave when Mom did. Phoebe nodded. People can go without disappearing. Can you come to the recital next week? She asked. Yes. You don't have a meeting? She smiled. Not wide, not relieved. Confident. As she turned to leave, she paused. You don't have to choose between people anymore, she said. You already chose staying. The door closed softly. Uriel sat on the edge of the bed for a long time after that, understanding something he hadn't before. They weren't afraid of who left. They were afraid of who left without explaining. And this time, no one had vanished. Raina came home on a Thursday, not with celebration, not with relief, with instructions. Shoes off, she said as she stepped inside. I'm still weak. Carmela hovered, unsure whether to hug or stand still. Phoebe waited, hands folded behind her back like she was bracing for rules. Uriel stood near the counter, giving space without disappearing. Raina took in the apartment, the schedule on the wall, the dishes drying, the small signs of routine that hadn't collapsed in her absence. You kept it running, she said. Yes, Uriel replied. She nodded. Good. Carmela finally stepped forward and hugged her carefully. Phoebe followed, quieter, her arms lingering longer. You didn't leave, Phoebe said into her shoulder. I came back, Raina replied. That distinction mattered. Later, when the girls were settling in, Raina and Uriel stood in the kitchen. So are you, he replied. She looked at him for a long moment. You didn't make this about yourself. I tried not to. She nodded. They noticed. Raina took a breath. I'll need help for a while. I'm here, he said. She raised an eyebrow. I didn't ask for that. I know, he replied. I'm still here. She smiled faintly. Good. We're doing things different now, she announced. Raina glanced at Uriel. Are we? Carmela nodded. We are. Raina considered that. That sounds reasonable. Uriel waited for correction. None came. Later, when the girls were asleep, Raina spoke quietly. And you didn't try to replace me? No, she nodded. That's why this works. For the first time, Uriel realized something important. He hadn't been added back into their lives. The shape of the family had changed, and no one was asking him to step out of it again. The house settled into something steady, not perfect, not quiet, just lived in. Mornings began with overlapping routines. Carmela complained about socks. Phoebe corrected everyone's timing. Raina moved slower but stayed present. Uriel adjusted without announcing it. No one thanked him. That mattered. Who's picking us up tomorrow? She asked. Raina glanced at Uriel. You are. Carmela nodded. Okay. No pause, no checking, no contingency. Later, Phoebe tugged at his sleeve. Can you come to the recital? She asked. Yes. And after? Carmela added. Can we get food? Yes. They accepted the answers without watching his face. For what? He asked. For you to disappear, she replied. Uriel leaned back against the counter. Good. Raina hesitated. You know this doesn't make you a hero. It makes you reliable, she said. That's harder. He smiled faintly. I'm learning. Later, alone on the balcony, the city looked the same as it always had, but it no longer pulled at him. Inside, laughter rose briefly, then faded into sleep, not because the day had been extraordinary, but because it hadn't needed to be. Uriel realized then what had changed. No one was waiting for him to prove anything. No one was preparing for his absence. No one was holding space just in case he left. And that was the quiet reward of staying long enough. Life stopped treating him like someone temporary. The house settled into something steady, not perfect, not quiet, just lived in. Mornings began with overlapping routines. Carmela complained about socks. Phoebe corrected everyone's timing. Raina moved slower but stayed present. Uriel adjusted without announcing it. No one thanked him. That mattered. One evening, as homework sprawled across the table, Carmela looked up. No pause, no checking, no contingency. Later, Phoebe tugged at his sleeve. Can you come to the recital? She asked. And after? Carmela added. Can we get food? They accepted the answers without watching his face. That night, as dishes dried and lights dimmed, Raina stood beside him in the kitchen. They don't brace anymore, she said. For what? He asked. For you to disappear, she replied. Uriel leaned back against the counter. Good. Raina hesitated. You know this doesn't make you a hero. He nodded. I know. It makes you reliable, she said. That's harder. He smiled faintly. I'm learning. Later, alone on the balcony, the city looked the same as it always had, but it no longer pulled at him. Inside, laughter rose briefly, then faded into sleep, not because the day had been extraordinary, but because it hadn't needed to be. Uriel realized then what had changed. No one was waiting for him to prove anything. No one was preparing for his absence. No one was holding space just in case he left. And that was the quiet reward of staying long enough. Life stopped treating him like someone temporary. Some people think the hardest part of love is showing up. It isn't. The hardest part is staying when there's no applause left, when no one is waiting to be impressed, when the past doesn't vanish just because you arrived. Uriel didn't earn redemption through words. He didn't win it through sacrifice. He didn't receive it as a reward. He became reliable, and reliability is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand credit. It just keeps returning, even when no one is watching. This story wasn't about a man who came back. It was about a man who stopped leaving. And sometimes that's the only success that matters. If this story moved you in any way, if it reminded you that showing up once isn't the same as staying, comment the words "show up" below. And make sure you're subscribed to Mr. Williams Storytime, because the stories that stay with us aren't about perfection, they're about presence.